This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.
Senate pledges accelerated passage of Nigeria Forest Security Service Bill. Nigeria Force Operation Fansanyama neutralizes over 20 terrorists in Katsina State. Chief of Army Staff charges soldiers to brace up against insecurity. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
For deeper analysis on security situation in Nigeria and beyond, watch Third Eye Africa TV.
Good morning. My name is Bivan Magoni and this is Third Eye Television Africa, broadcasting from the Central Business District, Abuja. To the news in detail. The Nigerian Senate has pledged to accelerate the passage of the Nigeria Forest Security Service NFSS bill, which is before the National Assembly. Deputy Senate President Senator Barau Jibrin discloses when the Commander General of the NFSS, Dr. Wole Joshua Osatimehin, led a delegation of senior officers on a courtesy visit to his residence in Abuja. Senator Jibrin emphasized the urgent need for the NFSS in combating banditry, terrorism, kidnapping, and other crimes perpetrated within the nation's forest. He commended Dr. Osatimehin and his team for their contributions to national security, stressing that passing the NFSS bill into law would empower them to work more effectively alongside the military, police, National Security Advisors Office, Department of State Services, Security Service, the DSS, and other security agencies. He assured the NFSS delegation of the Senate's full support, promising to fast-track the legislative process. Earlier, Dr. Osatimehin explained that his team's visit was to consult and update Senator Jibrin on the progress and importance of finalizing the NFSS bill. He highlighted the NFSS role in intelligence gathering, information sharing, and the apprehension of criminals, of all which have significantly contributed to Nigeria's security efforts. The Forward Operating Base FOB Badagry of the Nigerian Navy has intercepted 13,800 liters of petrol and 71 bags of foreign rice in multiple operations along Badagry creeks. The commanding officer, FOB Badagry, Navy Captain Oyeleye Omotayo, in a statement in Badagry, Lagos, confirmed that the seizures occurred in the past 1 week. He said naval operatives acted on intelligence received about suspected smugglers operating in the area, leading to the interception of the items during separate operations. He added that the operation focused on intercepting smugglers and confiscating products intended for illegal export. He noted that the seized rice has been taken to the base for further necessary action in accordance with procedures. He warned all perpetrators, collaborators, and sponsors of illegal activities to desist or face the full wrath of the law. He assured sister agencies, particularly the Nigeria Customs Service, of the Navy's continued cooperation as well as support for the host community. The air component of Operation Fansanyama has neutralized over 20 terrorists in airstrikes that decimated notorious bandit hideouts in Ungwar Guga Hill Forest in Faskari local government area of Katsina State. Deputy Director, Public Relations and Information, Nigeria Force, NAF, Group Captain Kabiru Ali announced this in Abuja. Ali said that the airstrikes executed last Thursday preceded careful and actionable intelligence. He said that the NAF advanced purposeful, lethally destroyed the forfeited camps of notorious bandit kingpins, Gero and Alhaji Riga, thus neutralizing over 20 criminals with additional casualties reported in the surrounding rocky hills. According to him, the airstrikes have decisive impact on the criminals, even as the assessment of the full extent of the damage is still ongoing. He said the elimination of the terrorists marks a major breakthrough in the ongoing military campaign to restore peace in the northwest parts of the country. Group Captain Kabiru noted that NAF, in coordination with group forces, remain relentless in missions to eradicate all threats and dismantle bandit strongholds. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Olufemi Oloyede has charged soldiers to brace up in order to secure Nigeria better and tackle insurgency in the southwest. Oluyede gave the charge while addressing soldiers during his maiden operational visits to 32 Artillery Brigade Owena Cantonment, Akure, Ondo State. The army boss, who noted that Nigeria was faced with different security challenges, said there was need for personnel and officers to rise up collectively and stop the menace. He observed that government spent so much on insecurity and that if Nigeria is secured, those resources can be channeled to make the lives of all Nigerians better. Oluyede, who promised to ensure the welfare of the soldiers and officers, said that he would do his best to make things better. According to him, there's a plan to build houses for soldiers across the formations to ensure they have secured accommodation when they're retired from service. The Anambra State Commandant of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has organized refresher course on weapon handling for its personnel. During the exercise, the State Commandant, Marco Olatunde, stressed the importance of correct and safe weapon handling for all personnel, warning that any slightest safety breach can be devastating and can have consequences resulting in casualties. In a press statement, the command's head, Media and Tactical Operations, Okadibo Edwin, said the refresher course was organized by the command to upscale its personnel's marksmanship and weapons handling skills. He said the training organized by the command aims to achieve the overall goals of Commandant General Dr. Ahmed Audi to have well-positioned professionals, gallant and skilled civil defenders. Renewed cold clashes in the Alogi, Shomorin and Obantoku areas of Ogun State have claimed 4 lives according to reports. The clashes between the cold groups, which occurred simultaneously on Saturday, March 15, saw attacks and reprisals from the groups targeting individual members. Multiple eyewitnesses say the clashes began when some members of a cold group attacked and killed another member of another cold group, which led to a retaliatory attack. While the number of casualties could not be ascertained at the time of this report due to differing eyewitness accounts, the clashes were said to have resulted in loss of lives. An eyewitness who spoke on the condition of anonymity on Sunday disclosed that 4 persons were killed in the clash. The eyewitness narrated that the cultists who went on a rampage in the Arebe area shot sporadically, which left about 4 other persons dead. Moving to the foreign scene, Rwanda has severed all diplomatic ties with Belgium following escalating tensions between the two countries over the ongoing conflict in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. The Rwandan Foreign Ministry issued a statement on Monday ordering all Belgian diplomats to leave Rwanda within 48 hours. The ministry cited the need to safeguard Rwanda's national interest, accusing Belgium of taking sides in the regional conflict and systematically mobilizing against Rwanda in various international forums. Belgium's Foreign Minister Maxime Prévost responded by calling Rwanda's decision disproportionate, stating that Belgium would reciprocate by ending all governmental cooperation agreements with Rwanda. He further indicated that Rwandan diplomats will no longer be welcomed in Belgium. The tension between the two nations stemmed from Rwanda's alleged support of the M23 rebels in the eastern DRC, who have recently captured Goma and Bukavu, causing widespread death and displacement. The DRC government and Belgium have criticized Rwanda for backing the rebels, accusing Rwanda of seeking to control land in the resource-rich region. The M23 fighters claim to be defending the rights of ethnic Tutsis in the region. In response to the conflict, Rwanda suspended its 2024 to 2029 bilateral and programs with Belgium last month, accusing Belgium of undermining its access to development finance. Belgium, in turn, has continued to advocate for a peaceful resolution to the DRC conflict. Moving to Ukraine, Ukrainian forces launched a drone strike on an oil refinery in southern Russia overnight, setting off a blaze at a fuel complex in the Astrakhan region, local authorities reported Monday, March 17. The attack is the latest in a series of aerial assaults by both Russia and Ukraine targeting criminal energy infrastructure. Regional Governor Igor Babushkin confirmed that refinery staff had been evacuated prior to the attack, though one person was wounded and taken to the hospital. This escalation of hostilities came as Ukraine criticized Russia for rejecting a proposed 30-day ceasefire put forward by the United States without precondition. Meanwhile, Moscow launched a retaliatory barrage of nearly 200 drones on Ukraine. Ukrainian air defense forces were able to intercept 90 of the drones, including Iranian-made Shahed models. In southern Ukraine, the drone attacks caused power outages for approximately 500 people in the Odessa region. Governor Oleg Kipper reported that the assaults also led to damage to several buildings, including a preschool, and left one person injured. The ongoing conflict continues to impact both nations, with energy facilities and civilian infrastructure taking heavy blows. And that's the news right here coming from Third Eye Africa TV. We're going on a short break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at top stories from our newspapers, what are our newspapers saying this morning, and of course we'll go into a brief review of this. Stay with us.
This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.
Thank you for staying with us on Third Eye Africa TV once again, and this is where we get to take a look at the trending stories that we have coming from our national dailies. Just before we do that, permit me to introduce another new face that we have right here on Third Eye Africa TV. Hello, Stephanie. Good morning.
Good morning, Bibi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to see you. How does it feel
see
being
you.
on TV for the first time?
Great.
Are you feeling nervous?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Are you sure?
Yes,
So
I'm
that's
not.
to say that I've made you feel very, very comfortable. That's what I do. It's my responsibility to make sure that you're cool and
Oh,
you're settled.
okay. I'm
Okay,
very
it's a
cool.
pleasure to have you right
It's
here.
a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so which of the dailies do you have with you?
I have with me Blueprint newspaper and the Nation newspaper.
All right, let's go with you.
Okay, on the Nation newspaper, drop in food, gas prices reduces inflation to 23.18%. NBS report shows 130 basis point slash on page 4. Dangote to build Olakola Seaport, Itori Cement plant on page 7. El-Rufai stand diminished with his actions, says APC. Assembly lists Fubara's 19 sins. Lawmakers ask governor deputy to defend gross misconduct allegations. No letter received by governor on page 9.
Okay, let's take a look at what we have from the Daily Trust newspaper here. What we have, El-Rufai accuses Obasanjo of siphoning local government funds to UK and South Africa, and then says no local government receives 50 million naira per month, and went on to say, and then Shehu Sani responded, provide evidence. You can find that story on page 3 and 11 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Motorists pass night at CNG stations over inadequate dispensing points. Experts urge expansion of filling centers. Government has no input in it, according to Presidential Committee. You can find that story on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Rivers Assembly's notice of misconduct not addressed to Fubara government. That's page 10. Moving to page 6. Many injured, houses burnt as crisis erupts in Plateau community. Page 7. Showore lawyers company core member summoned for criticizing Tinubu. Stephanie, you have been following up on this conversation. Is it controversial enough for you to want to lend your voice to? You're talking about, is it right, the core member serving in Lagos who criticized the president? I know we spoke extensively about it yesterday alongside Joey Malik and Mr. Udo Etafia. But let's get to hear from you. What do you think about the controversy, the whole thing, talking about the core member criticizing the government?
Well, to my opinion, I don't think it's bad for someone to air out her view or what she's going through. She's trying to tell us how we are suffering as a nation and how the government should step in. So I don't think it's bad at all.
Well, it's not bad, but you see, the rules of engagement in any organization is you cannot criticize the government or the organization that you work with. It's rebellious. It shows the attitude of a renegade and all of that. Just like we are seated here and then all of a sudden, no matter what happens, yes, we have an employer, someone who employs us, okay? And before employing us, there's a contract. And according to that contract, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. So as a core member, you're a government property. But like I said yesterday, the problem here is not just, I think the both of them are wrong, because you made a promise to pay this girl 77,000 naira, and the 77,000 naira was supposed to be with immediate effect. And in this kind of economy where things are hard, you pick me, you move me away from my state of origin, from where it's cold, from my parents or family home, from relatives where things can be relatively easy, cheap, and accessible or affordable for me. You took me to a place where you promised to cater for me, where you promised you're supposed to provide accommodation for me. You are supposed to pay me my monthly allowance. You are supposed to protect me. And literally, you end up being thrown into an abyss where you just find yourself like in a strange place. You know no one, you know nothing, and the promises of 77,000 has not been fulfilled. I, as a person in Abuja, what can 30,000 do for me in Abuja? I don't think it will last me up to 2 days. It's not enough for me to. It's not even enough if you have a vehicle to move for 2-3 days within the city center and all of that.
Yeah.
For a day. And now you have somebody or a group of young persons who have no jobs, who are thinking of, I just feel like the National Youth Service scheme should be rebranded. I wouldn't say it should be scrapped because a lot of people have said this over and over. And I say, over the years, when I served back then in 2016, 2017, I think one of the best years of my life was one of the best years was during my service year. I know the kind of energy and effort I put into becoming, but then it wasn't easy. It wasn't funny. But not many young people have that orientation or have the opportunity, because how did it work for me? I started radio, as a young person in school back then in 200 level.
Oh, okay.
And then by the time I was done and my performance during at the OBS made them see me and said, look, this guy needs to be posted to a radio house. And I went to a media house, and then it was easy for me. But a lot of people, after you go to school, you put in your energy, you put in everything into reading. There's no extra side piece or something that would like, okay, let us support you maybe during your service year. This is what you need to do. You are not guided. I was lucky to be guided by my career path and choice, but a lot of people are not guided by that.
Yeah.
And that is a problem with the service scheme. So I feel government needs to do better in such a way that don't just post people to places to go and serve. Guide them on how, okay, from your 100 level, 200 level, please start thinking, what would you love to do?
Skills.
In the in what you studied, how can it be beneficial? What are you going to add to the nation during your service year? Since it is very compulsory, because I don't think Nigeria is the only country that does the compulsory national service scheme. I know the Israelis do it. I know Egyptians do it. I know a couple of, I think in South Africa, I don't know if it's mandatory, but quite a number of countries do this. But why is ours different? Why does it have to be different at a point in time like this? So what I feel the government needs to do is, if you made a promise, please fulfill it. These are young people. They are vulnerable to vices. They are vulnerable to the society. It's a strange land. You carry somebody probably from Akwa Ibom, wherever she comes from, and posted that to Lagos or to Maiduguri. How do you expect the person to survive? How do you expect the person to survive on 30,000 naira allowance provided by the NYC? And then secondly, I mean, there's so much to talk about here. So I just feel the government needs to do better. If you don't do better, don't blame these young people when they come up and start talking about how frustrated they are. As someone who has a job, I'm sorry to say, I am feeling the heat of this economy. Everyone is feeling it in Nigeria.
Exactly.
It is not just me. It is not just Stephanie.
Yes.
Even the rich are also crying in this country right now, let alone someone who is a coming by a very young person, a young lady who is yet to decide, okay, this is my left, this is my right. This is what I intend to do in a strange land. So what do you expect her to do? She's crying. How do you feel about that? Now, disappointingly, we're seeing people saying she deserves the death penalty.
No.
The death penalty? Is that what you think a young person deserves in Nigeria at a point like this? For crying out? Now, if she deserves the death penalty, what does a real criminal deserve in a country like Nigeria? So the point is, let's be fair to ourselves. Government, take your responsibility seriously, especially when it has to do with young persons. You promise to come and make life better, not difficult for people.
Exactly.
And from the beginning till today, a lot of us are in support of this young lady.
Yes.
That life is difficult in Nigeria. She might have gone overboard, stepped out of character, and said a lot of things she was not supposed to say. But the truth remains the truth that this lady expressed the opinions or opinions of millions of Nigerians. So it's left for you to listen to her. And then on the other side, if you're a young person, please learn to honor your agreement. And if you must criticize the government or the organization you work with, do it with love, with diplomacy. There are always processes, there are always channels to follow in expressing yourself. Well, all the best to the young woman out there and how she goes about this. And I pray the government does something for the core members, because she's really expressed the views of so many other people. So back to you, Onye. Let's see what we have from the other newspaper. What do we have there?
Okay, we have on the Blueprint newspaper, Diezani challenges EFCCs for future orders, wants seized property returned. River State Governor raises the alarm as impeachment stares Fubara, deputy in the face. House lists 18-point offenses against Duo, our future gloomy. Commissioner on page 4. On page 8 of the Blueprint, we have World Cup qualifiers. Super Eagles hit the gym in Rwanda on page 32. Nigeria's export to Niger Republic soared to 77.12% in 2024 on page 20.
Okay, is that all you have from there?
Yes.
Okay, I also have the leadership newspaper here. We have political party stakeholders want INEC unbundled on page 4 of the leadership. Seek new organ to register monitor parties. Throws weight behind bill. Credible election most important, according to civil society organizations. Rivers lawmakers Fubara deputy impeachment notice. You can find that story on page 7. Of course, this story you'll find it in almost all the newspapers. Inflation slows for second time to 23.2% after rebasing. Tinubu appoints Kuka as Kachia Varsity Pro Chancellor. You'll find that story on page 19. Senate dismisses Natasha's arrest allocation. You can find the story on page 16. Ground rent. Wike revokes 4,794 land titles on page 7. Trump orders Voice of America shut down. And, well, I think that's much that we have here. But another story that piques my interest is El-Rufai accuses Obasanjo of siphoning local government funds to UK and South Africa. Well, let's watch and see how this drama unfolds between the present governor of Kaduna State and the former governor of Kaduna State. This conversation, it seems, I remember a couple of years ago when the whole back and forth started between Nasir El-Rufai and Sheikh Hosani, who was a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And it got so heated that he wanted to take a loan, and the senators from Kaduna State, I think the three of them all agreed, look, we are not going to approve the process of you taking this loan. And it got to the point that El-Rufai worked so hard that Senator Sheikh Hosani couldn't return back to the National Assembly. And at a point in time, Nasir El-Rufai said Sheikh Hosani has become a social media activist because there wasn't a platform for him to express himself except go on social media, on Twitter most importantly, to tweet, talk about issues as they are unbundling, unfolding and all of that. But then it seems the clock has turned and El-Rufai seems to be using the social media more right now. And according to reports, he is now planning, or he has a TikTok account. I am not on TikTok, so I cannot verify that. But then he seems to be making lots and lots of allegations. But the most important thing about this conversation is El-Rufai did a lot of things during his time as the president. He was a governor, rather. He was accused of a lot of things in Kaduna State. You know, the Southern Kaduna crisis was there. The issue of banditry. Banditry, the issue of kidnapping, the issue of demolitions, you know, of people's houses, of houses belonging to opposition, the issue of arresting journalists. You know, Kaduna State became like a very terrifying place under El-Rufai because it was constantly in the news. If it's not 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, they're either killed, or they are kidnapped in Kaduna State. But well, El-Rufai is out here on the basis of trying to give politics a human face. And he is choosing himself as the voice of Kaduna State indigents. And not just that, as against the 2027 election, he is saying, look, we are going to see, you know, he's feeling betrayed and all of that. But it's an interesting game unfolding here. Let's see how he's going to do it. Can he be able to come together and bring in forces together to fight the present government? Because I think the APC also fired back that he is aggrieved because of the fact that he was not, his ministerial nomination didn't scale through. And then Sule Lamido, day before yesterday, said something that it was an insult for someone like El-Rufai to say he's inviting him to join the SDP. Now, the point is, we still have 2 years before the next election. What happens? How are things going to unfold with El-Rufai and then the current APC, the coalitions that are going to come up here and there, left, right, center? Well, this is where we draw the curtain for the program today. Do remember, we are Third Eye Africa TV, broadcasting from the Central Business District, Abuja. My name is Bivan Magoni. My colleague here, it's a pleasure having her, even though this is her first time. And she said, I'm nervous. Okay, she said she was nervous at first. And then when she came up here, she said she was not nervous.
I'm no more nervous.
You're no more nervous?
No,
what
not
happened?
at all. I picked up.
All right, it's been a beautiful conversation here with you. We look forward to having you tomorrow. But remember, this is Third Eye Africa TV. We constantly talk security here. Security is everybody's business. So in all that you do, be security conscious. Watch out for your neighbor. I mean, when we talk about security, we just talk about crime in terms of security. The security of your health, your wealth, your environment, your family, and everything. That's what we're all about. Thank you for staying with us. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.